Hello friends. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about some ways to style the front. So I had somebody comment on my last video on how they would do the front and make sure that it lasts, what products to use. So I'm going to go over 2 techniques that I do to style the front when I'm working on my updos. So my first tip is to tell you, it sometimes is helpful to do the front first. And the reason is, then your client, when they're looking themselves in the mirror as you're working on the back of their head, they're feeling more confident and they're feeling more excited about how they look rather than have their hair all like pinned back in weird ways. So if you sense that you have a bride that is maybe a little insecure or just needs a little boost, do the front first, and so that she has something nice to look at as she's looking in the mirror and you're working on the back. You can always come back and touch it up later. So we've got 2 techniques. The first one is a little bit more on the quicker side. So you're always gonna brush through the section that you want out. Now I recommend not just taking a little piece just from the top, but make sure you follow down the hairline a little bit because that looks a little more natural than just having like a squared sectioned chunk. So I am using the section from the top of the part here, kind of to the top of the ear. So it's a bigger section. I can always pin back pieces that I don't like, but if you start a little bit heavier, then you can work with your client to make sure you have the right amount out in front. So I'm gonna brush through it first, that's key. You wanna make sure it's all brushed through, and then I'm gonna use a flexible hold hairspray. So we're gonna spray through with flexible hold hairspray, make sure you're not getting her in the eye, and then I'm gonna comb through again. So now we have a good base of products. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take smaller sections to get a little bit more of a curl here. Now, if you just want a really soft curl, you can just use one big section, but to make sure this lasts through the night, you wanna take a little bit smaller of sections. So I'm gonna divide this into 3 parts. And I like to use a flat iron on the front of the hair because I feel like I can get closer to her head without her being nervous that I'm gonna burn her. I have more control. If I'm using a curling iron, I'll always put my hand in front to make sure I'm not touching her face. But you're just gonna start near the top and do a gentle twist away from her face and pull it all the way through. Now you can start a little bit tighter, knowing that that will loosen up. You always wanna start a little bit tighter on the front because this part needs to last and last and last, right? So if you start loose, then you have a problem of it getting even looser later on, right? So I tell my clients, look, it's gonna be a little bit tight right now, but that's okay. It will get soft. And worst case scenario, they can always run their fingers through it themselves if it's too tight, but they can't curl it back up. Now I got a little kink in the end. If you have a problem like that, then just go through and add a little extra. So you notice that I did each of those 3, and I did not touch them afterwards. I'm gonna hit them with some texture spray first. Texture, and texture spray. And this will lock in these curls without them being sticky because we want them to be soft around the face. And you're just gonna let those set, okay? So you want them to sit a little bit, whether you let them sit like this and go work on the back and come back to it, or you just give it a minute or 2 and go to the other side. You want them to sit before you comb through. Now, the next part kind of comes down to the look you want. So if you want them all to be together in one piece, then you can brush it out with a wider tooth comb all together. If you want it more piecey, then you want to use a metal comb like this to piece through. So I'll come through with the metal comb and kind of separate them using my fingers a little bit. And I'm just gonna take pieces that I think will look aesthetically nice, okay? And I'm being very gentle with it as I work. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and use hairspray to lock this in. So I'm gonna hold sections out and just blast it and use my fingers to keep it separated and nice and soft. You just don't wanna over touch it. The more you touch the front, the more oils get in it, the frizzier it gets, and the more it has the tendency to want to fall loose. So you can just play around with what makes the most sense, what you think looks the best, what your client wants. And I just try to hold very gently as I spray to let it be. So I'm not touching it too much. Now, the one thing you want to think about at the ends here is you might need to use a little bit of a serum or a smoothing cream to smooth out these ends. But overall, you get kind of a nice, piecey, soft look down. Now, if this is too much hair and she wants more pulled back, come in with the end of your comb and divide the hair really gently. So I'm being very, very gentle. And I'm pulling pieces back, and you can say, okay, is this enough? Do you want more back? Or maybe she needs a little bit more. So then come through with your tail comb again, separate it very gently, and pull it back and have her look at the front and tell you what she wants. So then you can do section by section, and she's gonna be really feeling like she has a lot of control over how much hair she has down in front of her face. Now, if you want this to be all more cohesive, then you can come through with a brush or a comb like this and put it over the palm of your hand and brush it through. I like to do texture spray first to kind of lock in the frizz without it being sticky. And then I'll come through with my flexible hold hairspray. And I'm holding it away from her face because I don't want it to be sticky on her face. And then you can let it through. Now that you have this one section down, you can make sure you get the very front. So I see how there's like little pieces kind of flying away. I'm gonna put my hand in front of her face and then use my hand to smooth it. You can use the tips of your fingers to kind of get that down. And if you need to kind of shake it out a little bit, you can just use your fingers and pull it gently and use the hairspray as you're gently holding the hair away from the face. So it's kind of up to you how you want it to look. But this has a more of a cohesive look that's still together. So see how that looks really soft still, but it's not gonna fall out. It's really locked in there. So that is my tip number one, or my look number one, okay? The second look is gonna be similar. I wanna get to this side, but how I would lock it in if I really, really needed to stay like amazingly well. So we're gonna go through, do the same thing we just did. We're gonna brush it. We're gonna spray it with flexible hold hairspray. Brush through again. Brushing through. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of flexible hold hairspray, texture spray, not flexible hold hairspray, to lock in some of that frizz. And I'm gonna curl it away from the face like I just did before. I'm using my fat iron to curl it away from the face. Didn't get a very good bend on that one, so I'm gonna come back through. And even these ends are just a little finicky, so I'm gonna get them one more time, okay? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna smooth it in your hand. You're gonna roll it up. So I'm holding gently onto this curl. I'm rolling it up away from the face. And I'm gonna use a pin curl clip, looks like this. And I'm just going to clip this in away from the face like that. So now what I will do is give this a little bit of a hairspray. So put your hand in front of your client's face, spray that. And now I'm gonna work on the back. So I'd go through, do the back updo, do everything I need to do, let this set. And then at the very end, once I've done our whole updo, then I would take this out, release, and pull out this curl, and then manipulate it in whatever way I want, whether I'm gonna divide it, kind of the same thing I did on that side where I would divide with my tail comb or brush through it, but it's gonna last a lot longer with that set. So if you curl it away from the face, obviously the hair is gonna go away. If you curl it under, you're gonna get a bigger curl going forward in front. But whatever you do, if you really wanna lock that in, use a pin curl clip, set it first, then go through and style the back. So those are my 2 tips for styling the front. And just make sure you're using your tools and you're not using your fingers that much. That will really help to keep the oils out of the hair, lock in the style, make sure that it lasts all night and you don't have a lot of frizz or anything like that going on in the front of your updo because you want it to be nice and clean and polished. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you have something that you want to see, please drop it in the comments and I'm happy to create a tutorial specifically for you and what you're looking for. Okay, like and subscribe, share with a friend, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.